Hello, my name is Arthur Soriano, J41523. I spent over 23 years of incarceration. I experienced system-induced trauma and inhumane isolation torture. Former gang leader within the institution, the prison system, up and down California. Now I was able to transfer those skills. Now President, CEO of Youth Empowerment. When I re-entered back into the community, I was done. I was ready to live a new life. And I didn't have the resources while in prison, but I know I had made that decision. Coming out into the community, I was blessed with the awesome probation officer, Mr. John McCartney, and we put a plan together, 6 months off the system after 23 years. An unfortunate incident. I went to Mercy Hospital to visit my stepson. In that process, I see this police officer connecting with him from a trauma-informed lens, from a trauma-informed approach. So I let the police officer talk for 5 minutes, and after the 5 minutes, I could feel that he was genuine. And I told him, hey, I just got out 6 months, and I would like to go to the program that he was offering to my stepson, which is Youth Voice at the Mid-City Police Department. So out of all places, at a police department, which made me feel a bit uncomfortable, right? Like because of the system-induced trauma. But we took a chance, my wife and I and our kids, and I remember going up the stairs to the first floor, and I had been to that institution before on other terms, but this was a whole nother platform. And there was 12 kids there, and a lady, blonde hair, blue eyes, that embraced me on a trauma-informed like approach, love, compassion, made me feel empowered in that institution, in that space. I began to volunteer, come every Thursday, clockwork, every Thursday. Within 3 months, she inspired me to create a movement in my own neighborhood where I had once created harm. So I began to volunteer at Toronto Park with the people that I connected with, grew up with, homeboys, grandmothers, aunts, individuals, youth that were on juvenile probation, and we just built community with no strings attached, no nonprofit. Well, actually the nonprofit got incorporated, but we didn't pay no attention to it because we were so busy with the community and blessing them, loving them, taking them to events, places that they had never experienced before, to the beach, to Aquatica. 90% had never been there before in their lives. So that's some perspective, but the movement now gave them empowerment. Youth Empowerment, we're a grassroots organization of 17 staff, and 95% are lived experience. And we have an amazing board, from lawyers to former probation officers to principals that work within the school system. So it's diverse, and it's a working board. They're fully committed to the process and building healthy communities. Now that I've learned all these tools, I want to be able to give it back and empower other young leaders or leaders that are ready to step up to the plate, to figure out their perspective on how they want to move forward, and empowering communities. That's what that's all about. Building up leaders and then just moving out the way, and in hopes that they achieve more than what our success has been. We have a mentor that wants something in return. Like there's a financial or a relationship, something that's connected, that they work with one another and they guide, and that's that type of mentor. There's another mentor that just helps people, right? Just helps people. Then there's the other mentor that wants to see you succeed more than what they've done, and will give you all the tools in place to accomplish that and achieve that. So I'm grateful to be out here in the community. I'm grateful to be able to work with Youth Empowerment as the CEO. I'm grateful to work with the Public Defender's Office, going inside, visiting kids that have murder cases, attempted gang enhancements, and doing everything in our power to prevent them from being charged as an adult through the 707 trial hearing. I love my community. It's who I am. It's my passion. It's my love. It's my heart desires. And I just want to do everything in my power in partnerships with individuals that want to empower and build healthy communities. Might even get a little emotional just speaking on this. We had been going on a year, so my kids experienced a shooting. My 16-year-old and my 24-year-old. They're not gang members. It was her 16th birthday, and she invited her friends, but then them friends invited other friends. And in that process, all kinds of kids in one area, Crown Point, a lot of activity. They were up to no good, right? Drinking and doing their little thing. And a conflict happens. In this process of this conflict happening, my stepson, my daughter, my 16-year-old, he's 24, she's 16. Some other group of kids steal her friend's belt, Gucci belt, wallet, beat him down. So in this process of that, they want to recuperate the things that were stolen. So they go confront these kids maybe 30 minutes later. And as that they're going to confront these kids to retrieve the items that were stolen from her friend, they're pulling up and they're luring them to the alley. And so in that process of the alley, they just start shooting. In that process, my daughter gets hit in the leg, it's in and out. My stepson, he gets hit 4 times, arms, 2 times in the stomach, on the side. And so we get the phone call because we have the grandkids, we're covering all the kids, and it was a catastrophe. I just remember being in a haze, getting the phone call. I was almost going to sleep, and my wife's just screaming. So now, mind you, I have to put all the kids that I'm taking care of, my wife, and just I have to lead this way of going to our kids. So we're in routes to the hospitals. One kid is in one hospital, the other one's in one hospital, so I had to stay in one, she's in the other. So it was that community trauma experience. I could feel it. I could feel it now as I'm speaking. And mind you, this is the work that I do. I work with this population. So some perspective. I mentioned earlier that I work with the Public Defender's Office, and I'm helping this kid out. And there's 2 DAs that I'm connecting with through a trial, a 707. So this lady, she's looking at me like, man, what's up with this guy? Because I'm defending this kid at all costs, because this is what I love to do. He's a kid that was being charged for a 707. Mm-hmm. And so I mentored him for 2 years, built a report, we had curriculum, we built that report, and then it came time for the hearing. So at the hearing is when I met, or I could see this DA, and I could see her eyes, they were direct, just looking at me as I was speaking. And the DA's job is the state wanted this kid to be tried as an adult. So that ended up being a successful 707. The kid didn't get charged as an adult, but 2 weeks later, then I'm going into the courts as a victim with my two kids. And as soon as I go in to courts, I recognize the lawyer that's working on the kids, because 3 kids were charged for the shooting of my 2 kids. And lo and behold, it's that DA that was there during that 707. So she looks at me and she just, I was so impressed with your testimony. I don't even know where to start. So we ended up going to the DA's office, and I wanted my kids to be able to express their voice, and whatever decision they felt moving forward, I was okay. I wanted to come from them, an encouragement. While in my process, I felt anger, I felt betrayed, I felt depressed, old mentalities were wanting to get back in my mind, right? Of revengeful and vindictive, but I don't live that life no more. That's a life that takes too much energy from an individual, period. So in that, I'm building this relationship with this DA. Then these kids are in juvenile hall, the same institution that we provide programming. So now I have to like connect with leadership and let them know, look, this incident, which they were in high support, probation officers, and just how can we support you, that process. But it took me 5-6 months to finally begin the healing journey. And I remember going to these kids' court, and my wife, she had a victim impact statement, as long as my stepson's wife as well. And then I just was really honest, like with this kid, and had a conversation with him, like, look, I forgive you. I know where you're at. I've been there. What all we want is to start your process. To some perspective to that this situation. All I want you is to be empowered, to heal, move forward, and then come back into the community and not do that again. That's all I want. And as I'm speaking to him, he's just nodding his head, taking it in. And so these are kids that had never been part of the system, period. But like the times that are happening, like within San Diego, LA, and really across the nation, the spike of violence, right? And what these kids are going through is the sense of belonging. The social media is having an impact. There's kids committing crimes that are going on Facebook Live or Instagram while they're doing it because they want that attention. The sexual abuse, the childhood traumas, the impacts, the poverty, the complex, that whole process. COVID-19 was that now we're like feeling the impact, the side effects of what happened during COVID-19. So that's just some perspective on a narrative, a real life narrative, and it took some healing from all of us, my family, my wife, my kids, to just begin that healing journey. And we're still doing what we're doing. We're visiting that same population, and ain't nothing changed, even because of that incident. And what's crazy is that before that incident, a year ago, I was having or half a year before that, I was having a conversation with Nikki Martinez. She's our COO from Youth Empowerment. And we were talking about, like, what's the only time that you would react to a form of violence? And I was like, man, I've changed, and I'm peaceful for everybody. I've been able to control my anger, but if you mess with my family, then I'm gonna react no matter what consequences. I remember having that direct conversation. Then this happens a year later, 6 months later. So the words that I said, I didn't mean that, but I had to go through this whole process of identifying that. So I'm blessed to be on a healing journey with my family. They're doing great. My stepson, he had a successful surgery. He had the bag. Now they did a surgery on that. He just got married, has a kid. We have a grandkid. My 16-year-old, she's doing great. She's gonna be a senior next year, on a route to graduate. So everything's a process. You can't snap your fingers and something happens. So that's my perspective, and I'm here to build healthy communities and empower youth, individuals, and families.